That's like the bomb that's dropped in this video personally. I haven't seen this, but the fact that you can affect your gray matter and white volumes in the brain by your consumption of social media. What happens when a child gets their hands on this? Think about that. When a child, a kid, a toddler.
Sometimes I want out and I want off.
TikTok is deliberately poisoning a generation. Let's see. How deliberate, guys?
Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell. Just, for now, enjoy this corner of the desk in my shot. Yeah. Now, lots of bizarre things have been happening in the news, and I confess that there was a part of me that wanted to traumatize all of you with a discussion about Sam Smith's new music video. Because what is this? But honestly, I don't have the emotional capacity for that, and I will not be distracted by a fat they-them with nipple tassels. Instead, I wanted to once again talk about TikTok, because if you haven't noticed, I think it's pretty clear at this stage that the app is negatively impacting an entire generation of young people.
So I say all the time it's weird to be a trans girl that's a lesbian, and this is why.
I make no secret of the fact that I think that TikTok is quicksand for your brain. And I personally do not use TikTok because I don't feel safe among these kinds of people.
Heterosexual men should realize that trans women are the future.
People are really out here saying that trans Chuchi is the inferior product. I'm sorry. We have the designer, expensive, bougie coochie.
No. But as time wears on and the influence of the app grows, it's pretty clear that other social media platforms are tying themselves in knots just trying to keep up. We now have Reels and Shorts and all sorts of other short video sharing opportunities that absolutely nobody asked for, and in the majority of cases, people are uploading their TikToks anyway. So yeah, if you thought that you were getting away from literal children dancing for your entertainment,
You're not.
you were wrong. Welcome to modern society, the river on which my hell gondola sits. With this in mind, and in my recent travels of the internet, I happened upon an extremely interesting article titled, "TikTok may be a Chinese superweapon." The article attempted to answer some of the questions many of us have been asking. What is TikTok doing to young people? What is its effect on the brain? And why does China's TikTok ban the type of content we see here in the West? I don't think Sam Smith simulating drinking pee is making the rounds in China. Let me assure you. It's gonna be a no from me. So that's what we're going to talk about today. How TikTok, the app used by millions of young people, is causing brain decay and might be...
And it's accelerated, right? Look at the advent of TikTok and how young people are behaving today. Hell, people in general, how radicalized everything in society has gone today. Weirdly enough, Chinese TikTok promotes science, promotes research, promotes goodwill in society, being an upstanding citizen. Yet we have to watch the most insane things. I can't even stream my TikTok live to you guys. My live, like I go on TikTok and I press the live button and I scroll through people live streaming. I can't play that for you. It got Tribe Report banned. Let's just say that. I think I would have to get on Rumble, live stream what comes on so you can see what children have access to. Shocking. Does not begin to describe it.
Happening deliberately. I also just want to make note here that although some of this is speculation and might sound a little bit out of the box, I don't think that that changes its importance, and I do believe that this is incredibly interesting. I will also link the superweapon article in the description box so that you can read it in your own time, because a lot of the things that are covered in that article I won't have time to get into in this video. And appearing on shelves alongside Super Mario World. The game at the time was considered unashamedly violent. Players were encouraged to rip the head off fallen opponents.
Who remembers when Mortal Kombat came out and it was going to be the end of the earth? That was the most violent game that's ever been released. This pixelated crap scared everybody, scared all the conservatives. Oh, the kids are going to be aggressive. The kids are going to perpetrate massive violence because this game, finish him, get over here, and all that shit. You remember that? This was the game that they were blaming a bunch of societal problems on at one point. These are the scapegoats they use for their failed policies in society.
with the infamous words, "finish him," flashing on screen when the fight was over. The game disturbed then Democratic Senators Joseph Lieberman and Herbert Kohl so much that they called a hearing on video game violence. This wasn't the first time video games had come under fire for being violent, and as we all well know, it certainly wouldn't be the last.
I know that one place parents want us to draw the line is with violence in video games.
They actually solved the violence problem in video games by just adding a bunch of pride flags. Yeah, I mean, it's bloody, but at least it celebrates all the demi-queer trans boys. And if you can't support that, 1 million years gulag.
They added that to Call of Duty. They added those flags, huh? You couldn't find the American flag in Call of Duty, but you could find the trans flag. Ain't that something?
Media in one form or another has always come under scrutiny. Whether it be television, movies, video games, the internet brought with it a slew of additional concerns, and social media platforms—
I think I have the sound for that. Yes! Toasty! I have the toasty sound for Mortal Kombat, I forgot.
had been criticized since the days of MSN Messenger and MySpace. A place where I was once known as Sydney Meth. That's not a joke. And now I'm going to age all of us with one simple sound. The kids will never understand. If we are to follow the trends from the last 60, 70 years, well, it makes sense that now TikTok finds itself
Funny, because as a little kid, I played a ton of Mortal Kombat, decapitating people, getting perfects, fatality, all that shit. It turned out all right, dude.
under the same microscope. Why wouldn't it? Since its inception in 2017, it has become the most downloaded app the world over. By late 2021, TikTok.com was visited more times than Google, Facebook, or even YouTube.
Oh my God, dude. That I didn't know. You would think Google.com, the most visited domain. I mean, it's become an adjective, verb. You Google stuff. Did you Google it? I'm Googling. It's insane. I've Googled it. You've gotten Googled. This is crazy. People are going to TikTok.com, not the app in your phone. People are visiting TikTok.com more than Google. Whoa.
Year on year, time spent on the app has increased, with the average user spending at least an hour and a half a day scrolling. And around 60% of users on the app are Gen Z. While TikTok has been accused of plenty, mostly true things, it's now becoming clearer and clearer as time goes on that the app is more than absurd trends, 16-year-old influencers, and a place for the proliferation of mental illness. Although it kind of seems like YouTube is trying to give TikTok a run for its money. I still hate this. I did tell you guys I was going to traumatize you with this. Here we are. Despite what TikTok appears to be on the surface, it is actually having a very negative impact on the literal brains of young people, and some believe that is deliberate. In an interview in early November 2022, Tristan Harris, an American technology ethicist, made a comparison between a Chinese TikTok, also known as Douyin, which I know I butchered, don't yell at me in the comments, and TikTok shipped out to the rest of the world. He explains that what Chinese children access is vastly different to what American children access. In China, if you're under 14 years of age, TikTok shows you science experiments you can do at home, museum exhibits,
Yeah, this stuff is getting pushed on us hard too as creators. Somebody said Google's losing market share to Instagram and TikTok. Hell yeah, they are. If you don't do shorts on a channel on YouTube, you're not going to make it. Growth is stalled completely. Live streams too, they're trying to kill Twitch. If you don't live stream on YouTube, congratulations, you're not getting discovered as much. If you don't make community YouTube's not what it used to be. It's purely a business now. We can't sit here and have real conversations. It has to be tailored to whatever the sponsors of the video want, whatever the advertisers tell YouTube that they want. Their video advertising, they're tightening guidelines constantly. The conversations we're having today will be out of the guidelines probably in a few years. I can tell you right now. It's only a matter of time, guys. This is why I tell you, please join on Locals and become members there, because it is not going to be possible to find any of the content you're probably watching today in 5 years' time. If you look at what the conversations were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, compared to what you're allowed to say today, completely constricted, compelled. Speech is now compelled.
treatises and videos, and educational videos, which can only be accessed for 40 minutes per day. He says that this version of TikTok doesn't get shipped out to the rest of the world, and it's almost as if the CCP sees how technology is influencing kids' development and, in turn, makes their domestic version a spinach version and ships the opium version to the rest of the world. He goes on to mention a survey conducted with preteen children in both China and America, asking which career is the one they most covet. The number one answer for American children was influencer, whereas the number one for Chinese children was astronaut. To repeat Harris's own words, "You allow these two societies to play out for a few generations, I can tell you what your world is going to look like." Despite all of this, Western TikTok has said that it has features that allow parents to control screen time, as well as in-feed reminders to take a
How insane is that, dude? Our young people want to be influencers. In China, they want to be doctors, engineers, astronauts. Yeah, it doesn't exactly, Zion. It doesn't take a genius to figure out where the West is heading, specifically America, if we're headed down this path. So if you're, say, right now in your prime as a man or in the early period in your life and you're trying to make plans for the future and how to shield yourself from the coming degeneracy, degradation, whatever you want to call it, radicalism, whatever, man. Slap whatever name you want on it. How are you going to plan your future to avoid this? Do you think, influencer is a career now. Do you think you want to live in this country? Do you want to live here where the money is exiting? Smart money is leaving America. Most millionaires, billionaires don't live here. People who are doing well are doing the expat stuff. Smart money left, guys. These people have multiple homes all over the world. When shit hits the fan, they will leave. You holding the bag. You have to become a, quote, global citizen. You have to get your passport. You have to get multiple passports if you can. You have to free yourself financially with remote work. If you start a family in America right now, your kid will be going to these schools. Your kid will be consuming this content on TikTok. Your kid will succumb to peer pressure from other kids that are undergoing this radicalization. One day you come home and your kid says they identify as this or that, or their kid believes this and that, and you've drained how much money on your seed? What's the average cost of raising a kid? $1 million? Think about this, man. This is like an investment in your future. Do you want to go to a place where homelessness is rising? Do you want to live in a place where bridges are crumbling, infrastructure degrading, schools radicalizing, jobs drying up? Where do you want to live? Or do you go where the money is starting to pour? There's investment opportunities all over the world. Some of the cities in America, dude, look like third world countries. Honestly, if you go to San Diego and you cross into the border, Tijuana doesn't look that much different nowadays. You're going to see graffiti and homeless encampments everywhere. It's kind of wild. The gap has shortened between what America is like and what the rest of the world looks like. If you just have a little bit of money, you'll far outpace your, quote, quality of life in America. That's the brutal truth. And they try to keep this from you, by the way. They try to scare you and make you think like other countries are dangerous. But there's people in the comments that have traveled and tell you it's nothing like what the mainstream media is selling you. There's the danger, the crumbling infrastructure, all this stuff they try to make you be afraid of in the international part of the world is actually what's happening here back home in the West. Crime rates have skyrocketed in our cities. We see new videos every day. People just walk into stores, take shit, walk out.
A break from the app.
Hold on, you've been scrolling for way too long now. Maybe you should get some food, get some water, and then come back later.
Hey you, child who cannot regulate your basic needs. Feed yourself. Water yourself so you can come back and continue scrolling rather than going out and touching grass and digging holes in the yard like you should be doing. On a serious note, if your app is so addictive and you know it's so addictive that you have to literally add little tips and notes into people's feeds, reminding them to consume the nutrients that they literally require to continue living, we have a problem. This probably will come as a shock to none of you, but TikTok's algorithm, like I mentioned in previous videos, is extremely predatory. Where other platforms determine recommendations to make to you based on your followers, the topics you follow, your interests, and so on, TikTok's algorithm is analyzing what users like based on the videos they watch and the videos they skip from the moment they start scrolling. When it finds out what they like, it gives them more of the same. As the Super Weapon article says, with TikTok, the recommendation algorithm is the core product. This means that TikTok is addictive. It zeroes in to maintain your attention. TikTok's For You page is down to the minute accurate, and after only a short period of time on the app, the algorithm has figured out your habits, your interests, and can present to you content to keep you using. And because TikTok's For You algorithm favors the most instantly mesmerizing content, videos that might actually be useful or meaningful are pushed to the side in favor of lip syncs and weird gender weirdo people.
I don't understand what is so hard about correcting other people when they misgender others. Like, it takes you like 2 seconds, but you know what it takes for me to have to constantly do that?
A single video like this on its own is not necessarily cause for concern.
There goes that whole misgendering is violence. If someone has such a strong emotional reaction to something as simple as being misgendered, what do you think they want for enforcement against people who perpetuate such things against them? Jail time? Fines? Think about it. Ryan, thanks, brother. I feel safer in Manila than any other major U.S. city. Yeah, dude, the U.S. is actually pretty dangerous.
The issue arises when this content is viewed again and again ad nauseum. As well as we all know, societal issues that were once relatively obscure are suddenly more common and prominent, such as dissociative identity disorder or the growth of the trans and non-binary movement, leading plenty of people to believe that this is a matter of social contagion. Not too long ago, I even mentioned how TikTok is leading young people to adopt tics and ticking disorders after watching Tourette's content on the app. Because of course it is. While these artificially inflated TikTok communities are certainly cause for concern, I think we've seen enough of that, the addictiveness of TikTok is leading to some significant issues for young people. More specifically, digital dementia and something we now know and understand as TikTok brain. It literally has its own name. This is terrific.
On today's Mental Health and Me, we're taking a closer look at our phones, specifically TikTok.
Dr. Cheryl Ziegler joining us now. She is our 9 News mental health expert. We love talking to you on Mondays. Dr. Ziegler, let's break it down. What is TikTok brain?
The results aren't in yet, but for some parents, they're reporting their kids don't have the attention span to even sit through a movie anymore, let alone read. They say they're seeing the effects of TikTok in real time. For the Sargent family in Phoenix, Arizona, the battle over screen time has been an ongoing struggle with their 3 young kids since we first profiled them in 2018. Mom Carly says it's only intensified with the advent of TikTok.
The mindless scrolling is so hard on them. And then their ability to be engaged with people.
Addiction. It's an addiction, dude. It's worse than loot boxes in video games. It's the worst thing you could possibly allow your kid to do is get on TikTok, build neural pathways and links, training their own brain into becoming addicted and having the attention span of a goldfish. Every 3 seconds, they lose it. Every 3 seconds, they need a new swipe up, swipe up, swipe up. The For You page is such an addiction to somebody that doesn't even have a developed brain. It's an issue now. You have TikTok brain. Literally, anybody that can't pay attention to anything, you have TikTok brain. How are you going to pass school? You can't watch a movie. Movies are entertainment. Entertainment has been distilled down and purified into something that's like digital crack. I've said it before. Think about this. Movie is entertainment, guys. That's what you would go do, blow off steam, and it would hold your attention. You can't even sit through a movie anymore. So crack has gotten far more potent today. Digital crack. Yeah, this is like warfare. This is generational warfare right here. We're creating, what could you say, a class of people whose attention span is so terrible that they'll be good for doing essentially manual work, grunt work. They'll be like slaves of society, essentially doing all the jobs that nobody else wants to do because it takes very little attention. It's very mundane. We haven't replaced them with AI and automated robots and whatever else we need for that to be done. Think of like Garbage Man, right? Think of something like that. So we're going to get these people something, digging ditches, something that we don't have full automation and we may not. So we're creating the new class of slaves that society needs to go and keep running. Think about this. These people will never make it out of the trap, man, because their attention span is through the gutter. Yes, they'll take any job they can get. Yes, they're going to be hooked on their crack. As long as they have their crack, their little digital crack, they're good and they will accept everything. They will accept not owning a home. They will accept not owning a car. They will eat Z-bugs and they will be happy. You will own nothing and you'll be happy. Why? Because you're hooked on digital crack. As long as the smartphone is in your hand, life's good. You can escape reality. You can play pretend in your digital world. It's okay.
People around, but they want to watch their phone and do that at the same time. Which is so sad.
The term digital dementia was coined by neuroscientist Manfred Spitzer. What is always with these names? And is broadly understood as the use of digital technology that results in the breakdown of cognitive abilities. So like every single one of us today. Actually, a particularly disturbing research paper I found noted that excessive screen time is known to alter gray matter and white volumes in the brain, increase the risk of mental disorders, and impair acquisition of memories and learning, which are known risk factors for dementia. Chronic sensory overstimulation, i.e. excessive screen time during brain development, increases the risk of accelerated neurodegeneration in adulthood, i.e. amnesia, early onset dementia.
Dude, that's like the bomb that's dropped in this video personally. I haven't seen this, but the fact that you can affect your gray matter and white volumes in the brain by your consumption of social media into adulthood. So what happens when a child gets their hands on this? Think about that. When a child, a kid, a toddlers are given tablets so that parents don't have to parent. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Oh my God, dude, it's only gonna get worse.
Comforting. Beyond that, both TikTok brain and digital dementia can lead to anxiety, depression, the deterioration of memory, attention span, self-esteem, and impulse control. An article about TikTok brain by the Wall Street Journal notes that children generally have a harder time with prolonged food.
Look at that kid. So this is what I'm talking about, the dopamine detox that we all need to undergo. This is why I keep talking about the Spartan Challenge, guys. It's literally a way to detox your brain from all the cheap, easy dopamine you give yourself in society today. That kid, I've seen kids like this. I've seen kids in my old neighborhood that there's a kid that's on his tablet and he's on one of those hoverboards and he's just hovering down the street facing the tablet, doesn't care if there's a car coming or not. It looked insane. I was looking out the window when I was visiting my parents in my childhood home and I was watching them, these kids all up and down the street, no walking, on hoverboards with tablets in their hand. What is going on? Completely engrossed on the street, cars driving by, don't care.
Focus and directed attention because these functions start in the prefrontal cortex, a part of the brain responsible for decision-making and impulse control. The prefrontal cortex is not fully developed until the age of 25. This actually explains a lot, like the behavior of the majority of men. I have brothers and have many male friends, and how the majority of you make it to adulthood, I'll never know. TikTok is perfect because it doesn't require users to give it any sort of sustained attention. If anything, it's even better than that because it rewards them for minimal effort. And it isn't just parents saying that their kids can't concentrate, people are admitting this themselves. Reddit has plenty of posts where people lament that TikTok has destroyed their ability to focus.
So I think I just realized how much TikTok actually affected me in my productivity. First off, I realized how addicted I am. I literally feel the dopamine from TikTok, like from nicotine. For example, when I come home after a long day, I sit down and open TikTok and feel the relief of dopamine. It's not just subliminal, I feel it. That's just scary. I also think it worsened my attention span. For the last few weeks, I simply wasn't able to get things done. I was always a big procrastinator, but I was usually able to force myself to start working eventually. And when I pushed through the initial barrier, I was able to work fine. Now my procrastination got worse. And when I finally start working on something, I just can't focus for a long time. And I keep resuming the work to either watch TikTok or do something, some other pointless thing. I just uninstall the app and I'll see how it goes. I want to at least give it a week if something improves, maybe even more. A week, dude, that's how you know you're addicted. All you got is a week. I'm going to give it a week and then I'm going to go back and download TikTok? Clearly this didn't work. Another alarming factor is that on average, I spend 2 hours every day just mindlessly scrolling TikTok. Who's at fault here? Holy hell, dude. This Friday, it was 5 hours. Some days are even worse, this person says, as I didn't have school that day, so I spend the entire morning scrolling without getting out of bed. What the hell, dude? This is an addiction. What? Imagine you don't have school. It's a Friday. and you stay in bed for 4 or 5 hours mindlessly scrolling and it doesn't ever hit you that you may have a problem?
Focus and concentrate on other things. Freaking Reddit. So at this point, you might be asking, so TikTok has destroyed people's ability to focus and it's produced very weird social contagion, but honestly, what has this got to do with China? At this juncture, I'm going to need you to sit down and be quiet and listen to me butcher a bunch of Chinese names. In 2012, a young internet entrepreneur called Zhang Yiming set up ByteDance, the company behind TikTok. By September 2016, TikTok launched in China under the name Douyin, which again, don't yell at me for mispronouncing because this is very challenging for me. In 2017, like I mentioned, TikTok was available internationally. According to the Superweapon article, Zhang originally intended for the content on Douyin and TikTok to be determined by popularity. Douyin started off as TikTok is now, dominated by fun content of teens singing and dancing. But by 2018, the CCP had taken issue with ByteDance's apps, saying they were platforming improper content. In response, Zhang publicly apologized, allegedly saying, "Our products took the wrong path, and content appeared that was incommensurate with socialist core values." A short time later, ByteDance announced it would hire 2,000 more people to review content, noting that Communist Party members and candidates with strong political sensitivity would be preferred. Since then, the CCP's influence not only over ByteDance but other major similar companies has only grown. In late 2021, an article by a known Mao supporter appeared in Chinese state media that effectively called for a profound transformation to make China strong enough to fight against the United States. The article calls for an end to US-style titty-tainment. That is a direct quote. I didn't come up with that word. Because if it does not stop, our young people will lose their strong and masculine vibes, and we will collapse like the Soviet Union. In response, the Asia Times reports that pop stars, including female actresses, were banned or fined. Male singers were accused of involvement in sex crimes.
I remember that. We covered that one. China banned sissy men from TV to encourage more masculinity.
China also banned feminine-looking male celebrities and ordered that people under 18 were only allowed to play video games for 3 hours a week.
People found that Zhao Wei was being erased on the Chinese internet. China is cracking down on the cultural world because the party is very much concerned about some of the influences over its younger generation.
China today continues to crack down on fandoms and what it calls idol worship, because according to the Cyberspace Administration of China, it harms the mental and physical health of young people. If we connect this to Tristan Harris's earlier...
Yeah, celebrity worship in the West is absolutely mind-boggling. These people look at them like they're gods, man. There's no other way to put it. Like celebrities consume people's lives, and it's... much more of a problem on the women's side, where they constantly get into these gossip magazines. This social media is now their new gossip, essentially echo chamber, where they can't stop consuming and what the latest Kim Kardashian this and who said what and what dramatic show happened there. And girl, oh my God, can you believe this? And spilled the tea and do all it. It's wild. Celebrity culture is disgusting. I mean, people are literally like screaming off the top of their lungs when they see a celebrity and on the streets and like... It's so gross. I want to say I agree with some of those policies China put in place, like the limiting video games for young kids, or I don't know. I won't say much more than that. I'll just say the video games one's good, but celebrity culture, we've been inundated with that, man, for decades now in the West. And unfortunately, the number one thing kids want to be today is influencers. They want themselves to be worshipped the way they worship the people they look up to. That's what's sad.
Point about what TikTok looks like in China, it's clear that the CCP is aware of what the online space can do to young people. With this in mind, it's understandable why some people have concluded that the way Chinese apps function abroad is deliberate, given what it does to the brain and how that will look long term. Well, we already have this, so how much worse can it get?
What?
This is just a reminder that your tummy is so cute. So cute.
Don't answer that. An interesting point that is worth mentioning is that censorship still exists on both Chinese and Western TikTok, but the things being censored are totally different. Western TikTok moderators still censor videos that mention Tiananmen Square, Tibetan independence, and specific religious groups banned in China. Why these topics are censored is reasonably self-explanatory, given China's cover-up of these events and the CCP's feelings towards the free flow of information. But that isn't the only content being moderated and banned on Western TikTok. Content criticizing gender ideology, content expressing conservative values, or criticizing corrosive woke culture are also often axed from the platform.
Facts.
This is surprising, given that the CCP would likely—
Yes, I had so many accounts started up by editors that make all the shorts for the YouTube channel, and they get community guideline striked, banned, the accounts get removed. I mean, you've heard just general conversations we have here amongst the quote, whatever, red pill manosphere, whatever you want to call it, those get banned on TikTok right away. But if you were to talk about girl boss, the gynocracy, if you're going to talk about gender politics, if you talk about any of that stuff, absolutely you get pushed to the front. If you're a misandrist and you hate men, absolutely push to the front. There's women on there that have built millions of followers shitting on men.
Agree with some of the views being expressed, which is honestly just so strange. If you actually think about it for a second, if you express concern about TikTok's content on TikTok, and those views just so happen to align with what the CCP is trying to do in China, you get banned. I mean, okay then. Content that China bans on its own platform is allowed to proliferate in the West. Hypersexualization, vapid dancing, lip syncs, idol worship, tittytainment, as it says, and gender ideology plagues TikTok. And to reiterate, content that calls it out gets banned. That said, it's also worth noting that TikTok itself has said that it's not under Beijing's thumb and has taken steps to make US lawmakers feel like private user information isn't being stored or accessed by Chinese government officials. Personally, I don't actually think that we'll ever really know how much influence and power the CCP has over Western TikTok, but I do still think it is an incredibly important part of this puzzle, one that we can't really get into today because we don't have the time. But once again, I will link some information in the description if you are interested. Overall, if TikTok is responsible for causing significant mental and cognitive decline, that is a problem. And if TikTok is also responsible for causing digital dementia and TikTok brain, that is also a problem. And if it has been unleashed in this form, in this way deliberately, then that needs to be investigated. Obviously, we can chalk some of this up to China's long existing censorship of information and the internet, especially when it comes to these apps and whatnot. But that doesn't change the fact that the government seems to be acutely aware of the effects of social media on developing minds, which makes it even more interesting and disconcerting when you consider the fact that TikTok is being exported to the rest of the world as one of the most addictive apps to exist to date, full of vacuous, vapid content. In the end, TikTok is not a harmless dance lip-syncing app for kids. Its damage is so gradual that your average person probably wouldn't even notice, but it is happening, and it does matter. And whether the effects of TikTok brain and digital dementia are deliberate or not, something needs to be done about this. Now, I open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? Is this totally a conspiracy theory? Can you see how it could actually be true that this is happening deliberately? What do you think about digital dementia? Does that freak you out? Are you somebody who uses TikTok or enjoys watching reels and shorts? Do you think that this sort of thing has affected you? Have you noticed a difference?
I've noticed it personally. That's why I don't use that app anymore, and I try not to. I noticed it when we were doing Tribe Report and we had to go through TikTok for clips or go through TikTok for compilation videos. And you have to mind, and you know it's happening to you. This is what's messed up about it, is that you know your brain is being hijacked for dopamine, even though you're not like actively consuming the content yourself. You're just kind of trolling for information, for videos to clip up, but it's still happening to you. It does affect your memory, guys. It does mess with your brain. I've noticed. I've completely cut it out, or try to, because I still use it for clips, but very rarely. I dedicate a certain amount of time and I get off that shit immediately. Regardless, the channel is going to take a different direction where I don't have to ever get on that stupid app ever again. We'll be doing more conversations like I did with Presley. Conversations are far more interesting to me than having to troll for stupid clips to react to. But at the moment, this is what we're going to use as a springboard. You guys know, to catch more minds and bring them into the self-improvement part of the journey. Yeah, and if you have kids, keep them off TikTok. By all means, it's banned. Just ban it, period. They're not allowed to have it. And even then, it's hard. It's hard, dude, because your kids are going to go to other kids' houses where they have free reign and they're going to be consuming TikTok. And what are you going to do as a parent? How are you going to possibly stop it? And it's a website now. You could go to tiktok.com and still get absolutely enthralled in that venomous algorithm, and your kid gets taken from you, essentially. I mean, what do you do? What do you do as a parent?